Welcome to Mission Control Houston. Today, the Try and Prove It show will be conducting an integrated field test. The internet can speculate on all kinds of secret transmitter systems, but here on the Try and Prove It show, we have to prove it.
Please set the hot queue to armed.
System is armed.
T-minus 5, 4, 3, start sequence, 1, 5. Nominal under pressure.
And we are live. If you can hear us, please give us a 555 in the comments to let us know that you can hear us and everything is coming through okay. We have a pretty cool show for you tonight. It will be a little bit shorter than normal because we had a bit of a miscommunication about the B block, but that's okay. We are going to have US did 9/11 channel from X on tonight to share his theory. What we want to do on this channel is we want to talk to people who disagree with us, especially people who have completely different theories, who are all looking at the same information we're looking at, but in a completely different way. We want to remove our blind spots. We want to see things from a completely new perspective as many times as possible. That's what we want to do. That's what we're doing tonight. US did 9/11. I've been in contact with him for a pretty long time. I think Kelly has been as well. And he has a lot of thoughts on what physically happened to Charlie Kirk that I'm very interested in hearing about much more thoroughly than before, because previously it's just been in chat and in DMs and such. So we're going to hear from him. We're going to hear his perspective. He's going to have about half an hour to present. And who knows, maybe he'll change my mind. And after that, we're going to have a little bit of back and forth where I'll ask him some questions that are maybe a little bit more critical. Maybe Kelly will as well. And then we will open it up to open discussion and audience questions. So if you have questions for US 9/11, please post them in the chat and make sure it has a question mark. Maybe tag Kelly since she's always in the chat. And we will get to your question at the end. And without further ado, I will give it over to Kelly to introduce US 9/11.
Thank you so much, Jordan. Thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you, US Did 9/11, for joining us. I have been following his work for quite some time as well, and am very excited to get to hear from him tonight and to share him with you all. In case you have not followed him on X, you are in for a very interesting take on things. First, I want to just kind of personalize, I think, the man behind the account, because a lot of times we're wondering who are these anonymous accounts. We don't even know. Even Jordan and I, when we did a pre-interview yesterday, we didn't know if we were going to be speaking to a man, a woman. We had no idea, right? But once we had a moment to get to understand a little bit behind the person, it was quite fascinating. So would you mind introducing yourself and tell us what we're looking at as well, that our viewers are seeing on the screen, some of your handiwork.
Oh, yes. Hi, you're giving me the floor now?
Yes, please.
Oh, well, thank you. Hello, everybody. I'm kind of not the best communicating to people I do not see in person either, but I'm not even sure how to introduce myself as far as my work. We kind of went over this a little briefly yesterday, and I've done it pretty much my whole life for about 40 years, but I really do not consider myself as the doer of my work. It's a higher power that comes through me. I've always seen it that way. And I'm just not very good bragging about my skill or how I do it. It kind of came naturally to me when I was a kid. And I developed it on my own. Never watched anybody, never worked for anybody. Kind of developed my own skill by trial and error and trying this machine, that machine, and this tool and that tool. And what you see on the screen is kind of the end result of multiple years of just trying this and trying that. And I'm not sure how much more of myself I can really add to that.
Well, the bottom line really is that you are by no means if I'm hearing you correctly, a cyber sleuth, a crime investigator, full time. It looks like you're saying this is your full time business, and your craft by
Yes,
He's an
my
trade,
craft,
artisan.
an
yeah, my craft
artisan.
is my full time, but I'm self-employed, so I'm very flexible in my schedule. I can do work on the daytime and work in Charlie Kirk's assassination at night, or it could be vice versa. I could work all night and do my work because I'm not really open to the public and very flexible. So whenever, just kind of everything is a mix-up, and whenever there's some other challenge comes up, such as this investigation, I just drop my business, kind of put it into the side bin, and engage in some other helpful activity.
And one last question before we dive in. Can you tell us just what really compelled you to get involved in looking into the Charlie Kirk case from the beginning? And when did you get involved?
Well, I got involved on September 10th. I don't remember the exact date. It was just, I realized it was not a regular assassination, and Tyler Robinson had nothing to do with it. And as you can see by my username, I'm pretty well versed in conspiracies. US did 9/11, it's just one of those. And I've been at it for like 30 years. So whenever I see a conspiracy, it's like instantaneous. It doesn't take me too long. I've seen it on September 10th that things were not adding up. And I just have my skill of having a good eye and good common sense. And I just realized that this is something for me to do. I was kind of drawn naturally to it. I didn't know what will happen on September 11th or 12th, or who else will be involved. Kind of naturally just started collecting information, and I really don't remember what happened from day to day. It was kind of just such a natural event. Nobody called me, nobody asked me to do it. It was just like a natural internal call to do it, and it went from there. It has not been a day off ever since.
Well, over 7 months later now, here we are. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Jordan, if you could begin, we're going to give you 5 minutes, Jordan, to
Yeah.
present, yes, to
Yeah.
start with your fake death theory and the science behind that, whenever you're ready.
Right. So I just wanted to begin what I believe about the case. And the way I look at it is sort of through a scientific lens. I think that we should make observations of what happened to Charlie Kirk and say, okay, this happened, then that happened. We observed this, we observed that. We need to come up with an explanation for what we see. And that explanation would be a hypothesis. We would say, we think it's this, that's our hypothesis, and we need to test that hypothesis. We need to find out whether or not this explanation that we come up with, number one, can it actually reproduce what we see? And number two, was it what actually happened? Once we demonstrate that a hypothesis can actually reproduce what we see, it becomes a candidate explanation. We know, okay, this thing that we're saying happened can actually happen. So once that happens, it is a candidate explanation. Once it's demonstrated, and then we find out, is that what actually happened? That's when we actually prove that this is what really happened, right? So there's the two different levels there that I think we should focus on. Is the most important thing in this stage is demonstration. We can say it was this, we can say it was that, but we learn a lot more about the case when we actually go into a field, once we do lab demonstrations in order to find out, is this thing that we're saying happened, can that actually reproduce it? It's one thing to say it in a Twitter post or in a live stream, but to actually go out into a field and demonstrate it actually makes it a candidate explanation. And you can learn a lot about what explanations actually are likely to work and which explanations are not likely to work. So that's what I bring to the table, I think, is the focus on science and demonstrability. So that's what I like to focus on. And my physical work focuses on the faked death hypothesis because that appears to be the most capable of explanatory power. We can demonstrate it over and over again. I've done over 500 tests so far that strongly indicate that it is able to reproduce the observables. I actually buy real hardware, I build real systems that actually demonstrate the observables in order to make the faked death hypothesis a candidate explanation that actually can reproduce what we see. But it's still another matter whether or not it actually was what actually happened. So we're still trying to get into the candidate explanation stage. I think we're pretty close, but there's still a lot more work to do. We still have a lot of things to sort of fix in the tests to make it more similar to what we observed. But we made a lot of headway so far. So basically, very shortly, since I'm at the end of my time, I proposed that there was a CO2 pendant gun. There was a tube that went into a solenoid under the pants, and that has compressed CO2 gas that shoots a pendant up into a prosthetic right here in order to pierce the prosthetic so that blood can come out of the prosthetic. That's basically the gist of my hypothesis that I've been testing. And there's also a squib in the back that was supposed to go, but it blew air, but it didn't blow blood because perhaps it was too coagulated from the heat. That is the gist of my interpretation of the case, and I strongly prefer to focus on science. So that is my perspective, and now I'll turn it back to Kelly.
Thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate that. Okay, time for US Did 9/11 to present your explanation of what physically happened to Charlie Kirk. And we're going to give you 15 to 30 minutes. We're a little more flexible on time today. So we know you have brought a lot of receipts, as the kids say. So we are ready to take a look at those as well.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Yes.
First of all, to the audience, I want to make sure they understand. I've never done one of these podcasts, so I might be a little bit stumbling. I'm sure that host will help me to come along if I stumble a little bit. So please forgive me if I look for some folder. I put everything I needed into one folder, but since I'm not very handy doing this kind of work, I may be stumbling because there are a lot of different files there. Also, approach to different audience is a little bit different. We have extremely unusual case, and I've been through a lot of various conspiracies in the past, and I've never seen one where we have a situation where there are two camps. One pretty much believes that everything was a fake and Charlie is still alive, and the second camp believes that everything was real and there was no fakery involved. And I may be the only one which stands in the middle and kind of believes in both. And that makes it very difficult to represent. Jordan, can you hear me?
Yes.
Am I coming through okay?
You're coming through great.
You sound great.
So that makes it very difficult to represent. But since we have two different camps, and I think I know very well Kelly's and Jordan's position, I think most of the listeners on this channel kind of are inclined to see it their way. I think maybe the best approach is to really show why maybe there are a lot of holes in that kind of representation. Although, again, I'm a firm believer that there was plenty of fakery involved. And I'm going to show you, before I even get to any kind of details, I wanted to show you just, I do not want to go in this direction a lot because most of you listeners already have this predisposition that there was a lot of fakery involved. I just want to make sure you understand that I'm also a believer in that. In fact, I have quite a bit of evidence that other people have not even covered. So I want to show you just a few images here. I do not want to dwell on that for too long, but just to show you a few images to tell you that I've been on the same page that there was a lot of fakery involved for about 6 months now. This is like not new to me. So let me just show you a few images, and I want to make sure that we all see the same thing on the screen here.
Am I okay to go ahead and add you to the stage at your screen?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. One moment. Let's see. Jordan, I can remove your media from the screen.
Yes. Go ahead.
So, am I okay? Or should
Yes,
I?
you're great.
Okay, I'm just waiting for you to go. Tell me. Go ahead.
Perfect.
Okay. So you can see this image.
Yes.
Okay. Again, I do not want to dwell on this for too long, but just to give you an idea very quickly of what I'm talking about, this is frame number 4, as you all can see in the upper left corner. This is the first frame where the alleged neck wound can be visible when the shirt comes down. And very few people looked at this frame very carefully, but I'm going to zoom in on this a little bit. If you can follow me, and if you can see, this hole is not round at all. It has 5 straight edges, and 2 of those inside corners are a 90-degree corner. Now, I've looked at this for about 4 months now, and still a lot of other frames I need to finish. But that just gives you an idea that nobody ever looks at this frame, but this is pretty clear. Well, this not clear, but this implies some kind of fakery to me, because any kind of bullet hole or even any other wound would normally not be with straight edges. It's certainly not with 90-degree corner. You can see this is a 90 right here, and this is another 90. And I have not finished this work on these frames, but here I'll show another frame. I'll close this one, and another frame, which will be, that was number 4, and this is number 11. That object that you saw that was blocking the, hold on a second. Let me close this again. See, I'm not too handy with it. Let me.
You're
open.
okay. You're okay. No worries.
I'll have both of them open at the same time. I forgot I can do this. Okay, so this is number 11 and this is number 4. To me, it's a pretty clear. There is some kind of a clear bracket. If you saw my work, I work with clear material. There are all kinds of clear materials you can find even at the Home Depot. Clear YouTube, clear buckets. They're made out of not acrylic, but some kind of plastic materials. I don't even know what they're made out of, but clear materials are pretty common these days. There's some kind of clear bracket, which I'm outlining here, that's sticking out from under the shirt, and the shirt actually makes a 90-degree corner here, double corner. There's one right here, and there's another, and it goes. So there's a bracket here of some kind, and that's what makes edge of that hole looks at 90 degree, because there's a bracket which covers it. Now that bracket stays there for about 5 frames till about frame number 8, and then gets ejected. It is no longer there after frame number 9. And I have not finished this particular field in inquiry yet. I have to work with a lot of frames. But this is the frame number 11, which you do not see that bracket there anymore, but there's another object here. And you can clearly see this object because the color of the shirt gets pulled away from the body. I'm outlining it right here. This is the outline of the color, and it's about an inch away from the neck. So this is not just a regular kind of anomaly. This is an object which clearly pushes the color of the shirt off the body. And I'll show you another image which shows, hold on a second, which shows what I think this object is. This is my own interpretation of it. I just edited for those who really have a little hard time seeing, but you can see the color of the shirt is clearly off the neck. And it stays that way for about 9-10 frames, by the way. So I don't want to dwell on the
US, I apologize for interrupting you, but I want to ask a question as the moderator, because I think that this would be helpful for our audience, because we are seeing many different videos and photos in your presentation. Are they coming from different sources? And do you have those different sources, just so we know, or are they generally coming from the same source in this presentation?
I'm not sure what you mean by the same source. I take all these images from videos which everyone has. I do not have those videos in this folder.
Not just from the same video. Okay, that's okay. I
This is
just
the
wanted
front.
to.
this is a front view video, which I cannot show the whole thing because it has a lot of gore images there, and YouTube would not like it very much. But this is the front view video, which everyone should be having it since September 10th.
Where
And
did you get this version?
I downloaded. I had multiple versions of this, and I pretty much saved all of them. And I eventually started working with the one which was the clearest. I got it downloaded from X. There was all kinds of videos posted on X all the time.
Okay, so you downloaded it from X.
Yes, but this is a front view video which everyone has. It's not like I have some special sources. Maybe I should have clarified that, but maybe mine is a little higher quality than what everybody else has. And I had this in a lower quality as well. It's just after a while, I've sorted them all out and left the best quality I had in my file. But I do not have any special sources. Everything I share with you has been posted on X for about 7 months, or some videos maybe 6 months. So there's nothing new there.
That's okay. We can revisit that in a little bit.
If you wanted me to post a whole video here, I probably could. I have to go to another folder.
No, please,
no,
please
that's-
continue. Please continue. I apologize for.
It's
I just
okay.
wanted to establish that question, kind of to understand for the audience. Thank
Anyway,
you.
I do not want to dwell on this any further. I just want to say to everybody that I'm one of those who has believed for about 6 months now that there was some plenty of fakery involved, and this is just one of those evidences. But I'm going to close this for just a minute. But since we're discussing here this issue with people who are inclined to believe this was a fakery, maybe it's good for me to make a presentation why, even though there was plenty of fakery involved, but fake death, that's another matter altogether. And I'm going to show you why I say this right now.
Just so we're sorry to interrupt again.
ahead.
What do you think physically happened to Charlie Kirk? Just so we sort of have an understanding of where you're coming from in general.
Well, I think he, again, I do not have the time to go to all the pieces of evidence, but to me, he was clearly playing a role of some fakery, and he was planning or expecting something. But what happened is he received something different than what he expected. I think he got betrayed or deceived somewhere along the line and promised to play just something benign and received something a lot more deadly. And I'm pretty sure that he did end up getting killed, although giving full credit that there was plenty of fakery involved. It's just the death itself, the fact of the death was not faked. He actually was killed by something he did not expect. And I will show you why I'm saying this in this moment. But does that summarize it for you?
Yes, it sounds like you're saying he went into it thinking he was going to fake his death, but it ended up being real when he didn't intend to. Is that right?
Well, I cannot even say for certain that it was death that he was planning to fake. Maybe it was. I cannot read his mind, and we do not have anybody's word for it, or we don't have.
Or he was trying to fake some kind of injury, right?
He was faking something. It possibly could have been death. Myself, that's a hunch. I have no evidence of that. My hunch, just knowing his personality, and I can go into that a little bit later. I think he's the kind of personality that would not fall for making any kind of fake death. And I can go into like maybe 6 counts of explanation to why I don't think that was possible. He was a very highly moral person from my perspective, and he would simply not allow millions of followers to be hurt. He would not allow, he would just, I cannot see how he would allow his organization, which he lived for and worked for, to go into the trash bin of history and fall into the wrong hands. And we all kind of know what his views were. He would have to live with innocent men being arrested and being put on trial and maybe receive a long sentence and maybe even a death penalty.
Do you want to get back into some of the photos and the slides and videos that you have?
Okay. Well, I was just trying to answer your question. But anyway, before I even show you the presentation, whenever there's any kind of fakery involved, you all guys have seen like videos and movies. There's always a big difference between a real event. I'm going to show you why this event, what happened to him, was A, real, and B, it was a violent real event. There's a big difference because you guys all have seen the movies and videos. And whenever there's always a difference between a real event and a play. or an acting play. And I can tell you how the difference plays out. Let's say somebody is trying to hit somebody on the head, let's say, for example. The head will react immediately only after the hit, right? It will not start moving before. If somebody is acting a play, now if you look at it in a normal speed, you cannot maybe not be able to tell the difference. But if you slow the video down, if you have a privilege of slowing it down or looking at one frame at a time, you will notice that there may be no contact between someone's fist and the head at all. That's number one. Number two, if there's a contact that's very slight contact, you would not have a lot of deformation on the body which is hit. It'd be just like a touch. Now, if you look at it at very slow motion, third of all, the person who is hitting, if they use a fist, they'll have the fist decelerating. So they'll have a fast motion, and before the contact, the fist will be decelerating. Otherwise, it will be full impact. On the person who is actually hit, it actually would be the reverse. If there's a real hit, his body will start moving at full speed right at the point of contact and maybe continue that way for 1 or 2 frames and then start slowing down. If you have a play or fake play, his body will not react at full speed because he'll have to accelerate his head on his own. And his head will start accelerating to the full speed and will pick up the full speed, let's say in the 3rd or 4th frame. I'm not being specific here, but he will not be able to accelerate his head to the full speed on the 1st frame. So there's always plenty of ways, if you can examine any kind of video in slow motion or especially frame by frame, you can give me 100 videos of a real event, of some real fight, or a fake event, or a play, let's say an actor's play, the Hollywood, even a professional.
Do you have something that you could show so we have a visual for the audience right now that you could pull up on screen so that way they're
I'm just giving you, well, here's a Jordan's film. I'm giving you like a preview. So here's a Jordan's film. Why I'm giving you a preview. This is a Jordan's film, and this is, hold on, let me just double check that I've got the right version here.
Can you publish that?
This is a 2% speed. So when you look at everything at normal speed, it looks, it's very hard for human eye to catch the difference. But now we're going to look at it at 2% speed, and I'll show you why this is not a real event. Well, maybe to some extent real, but this was a play event. I'm going to stop it when I have to.
Oh, that must be that one.
Well, I stopped it. There's your frame number 1. Event did not happen. You see, Jordan? You're already grimacing a little bit. That's a frame. That's a frame number 1 on the film. That's not a frame number 1 on the event. That's 1. 2, event did not happen yet. You see, you are in anticipation of some event. There's 3. So there's a frame number 4. So you have about 4 frame. You missed the event by 4 frames. You start grimacing 4 frames before. So you can, and I want to tell you something else that you probably practiced this and played it, tried it 100 times, and you probably picked the best one. If you were to give me the whole array of your trial and error, you probably would have a lot of other videos which are a lot worse than that. So this is probably one of the best ones, and you still missed it by 4 frames. Now let's take a look a little further, and I'll look at some other videos as well. But you can see right here that you were expecting this event, and you're also expecting some unpleasant event because you started grimacing first. Let me go back here if I can show you. This is the frame. Let me see. I want to make sure I have the right frame here.
Charlie braced for it too, didn't he?
Well, no. This is the frame. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't have enough time to prepare, and I didn't put the frame number. But you can see this is Z, meaning I'm counting here backward. This is -1. This is the frame number -1. His face is completely peaceful. This is the frame number 0. He actually had his eyes closed for 6 frames. So this is -1. This is 0. I did not save into this folder all other frames, but his face pretty much after he closes his eyes on frame number -6 to -5, his face remains almost perfectly stationary. There's certainly no grimace on his face at all. and he doesn't move it. He just has his eyes closed, and the expression on his face stays for 6 frames exactly the same way. Like, okay, whatever, let's just go on. You can first of all see that he's not expecting anything harmful here. That's number one. And he experienced a much more harmful event than what Jordan did on his test. And I'll show you this in just a minute. There's just so much to show here. I just cannot fit everything at the one time. But
You're good. You're good. You have 13 more minutes, so go for it.
all right. So anyway, this is -1, and this is 0. And I'll open here frame number 1. This is number 1. So this is so until the actual bang, there's no expression on his face of any kind. It's totally stationary. And I just showed you that Jordan missed it by like 4 frames. And on top of that, you can see there's no grimace on his face. He's not expecting any kind of harmful event. And what you'll see in just a moment, he actually have received a lot more harmful event than what Jordan was expecting his test. And I'll show you this in the side view. He was whacked on his neck like with a sledgehammer. And I can show you in images to how did that happen. But anyway, so there's a difference right there. Now let me get back to the video of Jordan. So this is the frame number 1. One thing now, this let me see. There's just so much to cover. I'm sorry, guys. I have to try to put this in perspective. Let me skip this. I'll come back to this a little bit later. Sorry, Jordan. I'm playing you with slow motion here. I'm gonna skip here. I want to see look at the next video here because you had a few. Okay, there's another one. This is the same. I'm stopping here for a second. This is the same 2% speed. Okay, there's number 1. Jordan blinks, now puts his eyebrow down a little bit. There's number 2. He's cringing his eyes. There's number 3. Event did not happen yet. See this? There's number 4. So he missed it here by 3 frames. I'm not sure if it's the same video, it's a different test or not, but you can see he's missing here. And this is just one aspect. I mean, just sit tight. I'll show you. There are a lot of other things here by which you can tell the difference between a fake play and a real event. But you can see that this was predetermined play because he's missing the event. Now I want to show you a few. Let me close this image just for a minute, not to have too many open. Now, let me see. I'm sorry, guys. There's just so many images in this folder. I may have to close a few. This is, hold on a second. Just stick with me for a second because there are a lot of. Okay, all right. I think I found it. Okay, so here we have, this is frame number 1. You can see by the billing his shirt on the back, it's just like a ghost here, but that's when the event starts. If I were to put it in motion, you'd see that the shirt moves from this position to that position. Do you guys know why sometimes images look like a ghost images? Do you understand the photography of a very fast moving event? Or I need to explain that to the audience?
It's the shutter speed. The thing is open. Kelly, you're muted, but it's shutter speed.
Sorry.
What happens on the,
Yeah, the explanation would be helpful for those who are not unaware.
to the audience, like I better explain it because not everybody may know this. Whenever there's a very fast moving event and you have some object occupying the frame in less than exposure of 1 full frame, so it only appears in the frame like part of that exposure, what happens is the camera takes a photograph of that object, but it also takes a photograph of the background of that object before that object appears. So it kind of takes the image of both. Before the object appears, it takes the background, and then the object kind of jumps into the frame, and the camera takes an image of that object as well. So kind of one overlaps another, and that's why on a very fast-moving event, the object looks transparent. Also, depending on what's the duration of that frame the object was in the frame. Transparency depends on what's the duration. If the object was in the frame for like 80% of the time of duration of that frame, it looks close to solid. If it's like 50% of the time, it looks semi-transparent. If it's 20% of the time, it looks like a ghost. So from here, you can tell this is probably 50% of the time. So this camera caught basically this shirt in motion, in action, and you can see it through it because part of that frame exposure, that object was not there. So you can so that's kind of a basic concept for those who do not know the high speed events. So anyway, so this is frame number 1, and I'll flip to frame number 2. You can see, first of all, there's no reaction in his face on the frame number 1. But number 2, his chin reacts immediately. You can see how far his chin goes down. Voluntarily, a person, this film, by the way, is 60 frames per second. You cannot move your chin down or react that fast. His reaction was instantaneous. He did not wait for there's no reaction time delay here. And also his chin goes down from frame 1 to 2 and further down to 3. Don't forget, this is not like most of other videos. This is 60 frames per second film. So this, from the difference between this frame and this is about 1/30th of a second. So this is 1/60th of a second, another 1/60th of a second. So 0, 1, 2. But between these two frames, I'm removing the frame number 1. That's 0. I mean, this is +1. I'm sorry, guys. This is +3. So this is 1/30th of a second. Can you see how far his chin went down? A person cannot move body that fast, and 1/30th of a second is 300ths of a second. A blink of an eye is about 1/10th of a second or slower. This is 3 times faster than the blink of an eye. If he was trying to move his chin voluntarily, he could never react that fast. That's just not possible. He reacts on the frame number 1 on a 60 frame per second film. Number 2, he could never move his chin down that far down in 1/30th of a second. That's a physical impossibility. The only way you can explain that if something actually did press, he had some pressure on his neck, which forced his chin to go down. It was not his own reaction of bringing his chin down. You cannot bring it down that fast. Something, whatever the subject is, you can see it from the front UVU camera review as well. But whatever this hanging over the shirt, we can discuss this later of what exactly this is. But this object is physically pressing on his neck. That was forced his chin to go down. So I'm going to return to Jordan's film in just a moment, because in Jordan, you do not have anything pressing on your neck, or at least not until the shirt goes up. Your neck stays clear from the front and from the back. So you kind of reacted basically to the bang or whatever happened on your chest. But Charlie brought his chin down because something was pressing on his neck. So you're doing a test which is completely kind of, maybe proves a concept of what happened under his shirt, but it does not prove any concept of what actually happened to Charlie himself, because your neck gets unaffected. It stays clear. I can play a little video for you. Let's see. Okay, this was frame number 1. I stopped it here. This was your frame number 1. There's your frame number 2. You see your neck stays stationary. There's 3. Well, now it covers, but you can kind of still see the tip of the neck. Your neck is really not moving, meaning you were really not experiencing a very violent event here. And you still are grimacing. Look at the grimace in your face. And you were expecting a violent event. Now you can imagine if you extend this to something, where were my images? To something like this, where something like a sledgehammer whacked your neck. And not to mention just the neck, but this, men have another example. If something were to press that fast, this is 1/30th of a second. That's a very fast motion. If something were to press that quick on your neck with that kind of speed, that alone can kill you, or if not kill you, certainly just injure you. So if Charlie was expecting that, he would certainly be grimacing a lot more than you were, because this is a lot more violent event. There's no way he could have brought this chin down on his own in 300ths of a second. This is simply physically not possible. And I'll show you another frame. Let me go to your video here. Like, this is frame number 3, right?
Hey, US.
Yes.
Do you want to spend all of your time just debunking mine, or would you like to continue presenting yours? Like, which one would you prefer to do? because I think your time's limited.
Well, that's why I said there's a lot that represent. Well, first I have to establish. I have to establish first that his event, that what Charlie went through. I did say from the beginning there was a lot of fakery involved, but I also say his death was not faked. So I have to establish first that the event that happened to Charlie is not a fake. And the only thing I have to compare it to, I don't have to compare it to your video, but I mean, you posted this yourself today earlier, so it's a very good comparison because other people don't have anything else to compare it to.
Sure.
So I can skip to what I think, but I think the main.
What do you think happened?
Let's lay it out like concisely and let's use the next 3 minutes to lay out what you believe happened.
Okay. Okay. Well, let me pull up another. Okay. Let me see if I can pull up the right frame here. See.
And then don't worry, we have more time from there in our back and forth cross-examination and whatnot. There's more time, but just so that way we have that baseline of specifically what you believe happened.
All right.
to Charlie.
Well, let me explain what I think has happened. Now, this is the frame number 1. And this is the frame number 2. I'm not going to refer back to your video again. Well, let me just refer one more time. Any kind of real event. Now, let's look at the front view. What's happening in the real event? You can see a continuation of the same event. This is your frame number 1. You can see wrinkles. I'm going to refer to a Charlie Kirk's image, which is completely different, but you can see all the ripples here. Any kind of natural airflow will result in a fabric rippling like this. Now you have frame number 2. You can see it's a continuation of the same event. It kind of started here, it goes up, so that's a frame number 2. This is the frame number 3. You can see wrinkles kind of continue. Now with the Charlie Kirk, you have frame number 1 has no ripples of any kind. This area is completely flat from this end to this, from top to bottom, and from this end to that. And in fact, since we're looking here at 3D, chest is kind of more or less flat, but it goes over the shoulder and it retains its flatness over the shoulder. This is not a free air expansion. Free air expansion could never result in a flat area like this. It would always have some kind of ripples like this. It can be a different pattern, but you could never have a perfectly flat area from one end to the other. Now, what you see in the next frame, number 2, this is an explosion. So what you're looking at here is 2 different events. This is event 1, and this is a totally different signature from any kind of explosion or CO2 gun or whatever. You know, it doesn't have to be conventional explosion. You expect to see a pull in the fabric. You'd see ripples, just like you see it here in every single frame. And no matter how many tests you conduct, you'll always have ripples on your shirt. You would never be able to achieve this kind of flat area unless there's some kind of restriction under the shirt. This shows a restriction. I talked to Jordan many times, like chatting. I said, this looks some kind of a bag. Now, I don't know what kind of bag is it. I'm convinced this is some kind of a special effects bag. But the best example I can give you is a balloon. You inflate a balloon. The air has a boundary of a balloon. It can be a round shape, or you can make a square shape, or you can make it into a pretzel. Whatever the shape of that balloon, you have a boundary. Here you have this boundary like a scarf. In fact, I'll show you one other. This is my own outlay here. I've outlined that you can have a scarf shape, and it also has 2 90-degree or close to 90-degree turns. You can see it right here. There's one turn, and there's another turn, and there's no further expansion into this area. So you have turn, and then have a scarf-looking pattern. So what you see here is 2 different events. This is event 1, and this is event 2. And the only explanation I can give it, I don't do the testing like Jordan. He challenged me one time. He said, "Can you do a test?" I said, "No, I'm not a test kind of guy, and this requires a special team some kind of special effects team members with a lot of knowledge
You're muted.
and a lot.
Kelly, you're muted.
I'm not muted. I'm not muted.
Oh, you must have been mouthing then.
Oh, no. I was like, hold on a second. Jordan only has one person. He doesn't have a team. It's just him.
No, I'm not criticizing here. I'm just trying to explain. Jordan asked me, what do I see here? So what I see here is some kind of contraption under the shirt. I'm not
It's
saying
almost like a bladder or an airbag or something
I
like that.
say
But
it's some
yes.
kind of airbag which has inflated. You don't have an explosion here or any kind of CO2 firing or nothing like this because there is no ripple and there's a clear boundary. Now, whatever this contraption was, which I believe extends all the way to his neck, this is under the shirt, and this red section, that's what pressed on his neck, and that's what forced his chin to go down. But this has exploded on the next frame. This is a totally different event. Whatever has inflated, you can see it's totally deflated here. Whatever has inflated, either by design, maybe there was a valve on the end, or maybe it was just overpressurized. But whatever has inflated on the frame number 1 has indeed exploded on the frame number 2. I do not know how to make it any better. I could not repeat it in my test. I just don't do testing. I don't think without special effects, very good special effects knowledge, this can be repeated unless you know how to build the contraptions. It's not just building a contraption that can blow up. You have to do it in 1/30th of a second. It has to be inflated in 1/30th of a second and then blow up on the next 1/30th of a second. So how to do that, don't ask me. I could not do it. This is just my personal observation that this is some kind of contraption under the shirt. I'm sorry, I got this frames mixed up. This is a contraption under the shirt. This is event number 2. It blows up and this wrinkles is a normal effect of what happens from frame number 1. So Jordan asked me, what do I think about it? Now I can go in a lot more details, but this at least describes the initiation of the event. I mean, Jordan, did I explain it to you like in a reasonable fashion? Your listeners understand, or?
I'll have some questions for you once it's time for that.
All right, because I'm sorry, guys, I'm losing my train of thought a little bit because there's just so much to discuss. You can see nobody has ever discussed this. I'm showing this. I have these videos and images for many months, but nobody has ever discussed this detail. So I have to kind of cover it from the ground zero.
Where do you think the blood came from that pumps out?
Well, again, I do not like to call it blood because I think the blood event was fake. Now, let me show you what I think. Let me just prefix it here a little bit. Sometimes many investigations sometimes take months and even years, and sometimes they're never solved. You have sometimes unsolved cases. And that's when people investigators have the access to forensics, and they can do ballistics, and they can do fingerprints and DNA and all of that. Sometimes they don't solve the cases. Our ability is extremely limited. All we have are the videos. So we may never be able to solve it just from the videos that we have. But even if we do solve it, I don't think it can ever be conclusive because videos alone, this is such a bizarre event. I think videos alone would never be able to solve it conclusively. It'd be more like most likely scenario, but I don't think nor you nor me will ever be able to say 100%, this is what happened. It's just, we simply do not have the access to the evidence that's needed. If we had a video that's let's say it was at 240 frames per second, but showing every single detail, maybe we could. But with the 30 frames per second, with all those different angles and cameras running out of sync, so I can tell you what I think, but I cannot say it with 100% certainty. So
sorry, where did the blood come from?
Okay, you asked me where the blood come from. So
yeah.
I'm pretty sure that this was a 2-stage event, and the blood, I'm pretty sure that's why I showed you this. Where was this image at first? Let's see, where was it? I'm pretty sure that the blood event was fake, and I do usually get stoned by saying this because people think that Charlie has been killed and everything was real, and they always say we're so blood. I always say, well, all blood is red, but not everything which is red is blood. So just because you saw something red, that does not necessarily mean it's blood. I think this was a part of the fake that he was himself expecting to play. I don't think that's what killed him. I don't think that's what hurt him. I think all of this was a part of some kind of stage event. And what actually,
Where did the blood come from?
what do you mean? Whatever stuff was coming out of his neck?
Yeah.
Well, let me show you. Let me hold on a second. I'll show you this. Where is this video clip? Oh, God. Sorry, guys. I don't mean to.
You're fine.
I'm looking for the right. I saved a video clip, and I may have to go to another because
You're
I-
muted again, Kelly.
Okay, I think I'm unmuted now. Can you hear me?
You are now. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, we are on 37 minutes now, so I apologize. I had to step away for a moment.
Well,
but
to answer Jordan, I don't think I put this little video clip into this folder, so I have to go to another folder in my video clips. Hold on, just
Okay. We're gonna have Kelly step in
well,
there.
we can come back. We can come back to that in just a little bit.
I found it. It's right here.
We found it. Jordan, would you like to concede to let him take a look at that real quick?
Sure.
Okay.
Can you see this video on the screen?
Mm-hmm.
I don't. Nobody pays much attention to this either. This is something that's happening on the first frame. You can see the first frame. There's some kind of contraption here that looks like a syringe. You see, it has little two sections. There's a wider section and a little narrow section, and it gets compressed on the first frame. Now, I'm not sure what this is. I'm kind of guessing here, but I know in 6 months since this video was posted by Blake, the original, and I had this video for about 6 months, nobody but me ever discusses this. I might be wrong. Anybody who wants to give me their input, that'll be fine, but I cannot think of anything other than some kind of syringe that gets compressed.
Okay. Let's go back to Kelly now.
Okay. So thank you so much, US 911. I appreciate you so much for sharing all of that detailed information. I think it's time now for us to do a little cross-examination. Jordan, if you would like to start with a few questions.
Sure, I'll respond to some of that first. So the delay anticipation stuff you were talking about earlier, where you're counting 4 frames, like when I start doing this, it's kind of hard to do it with when I'm trying to talk at the same time, but I brace for about 4 frames before the event. But you have to keep in mind, I'm using this little button here. I'm pressing that button in the center of there in order to activate that. I'm activating it myself by pressing that button. So the sort of dynamics there are very different from if someone else were pressing the button. So 1 frame of anticipation, maybe not even anticipation. When you look at the field test that we did this past Saturday, or no, I think it was Sunday because we scrubbed. Yeah, it was Sunday. There's no anticipation frame because I'm waiting for it, and there's a little bit of a delay because I'm waiting on a computer. The computer is pressing the button, or I pressed the button, and then there's like a 2-second delay, but I counted the delay wrong, so that whole problem doesn't exist.
No.
It just entirely depends on the like who's pressing the clicker, whatever. So I don't see that as an issue. And then, yeah, the clicker, and then the puff of air in the back, I actually did reproduce that pretty much exactly, that exact same sort of misty effect with the shutter speed of the camera. We reproduced that pretty much exactly last Sunday. So, and then I will ask you this now. How did you determine that I cannot move my head down fast enough? Or how did you determine that I can't move my chin down fast enough?
Well, I was not replying to you specifically because I know the blink of an eye is about 1/10 of a second. So unless there's some kind of force exerted on the neck, somebody, I don't think, did you ever reproduce anything where you can move your chin down in 1/30th of a second with that kind of amplitude? Especially you have to, there's a zero response time. He starts moving it down, well, on the first frame, so there's no delay. So something goes off. Basically, if you are expecting somebody else to push the button, and here you're expecting somebody pushes it, and it's actually easier for you to respond if you push that button, because you know when that moment happens. If somebody else is pushing it, especially you in the middle of a question, Charlie was answering a question, so it's very hard to do any kind of countdown or anticipation when you're actually talking to the crowd and the public. You're engaging the public, so there's no way for you to know exact moment. Charlie's response was zero. He started
Okay.
moving down on the first frame.
What tests did you perform and at what frames per second speeds in order to determine how fast the head can come down with
I
just
honestly,
normal, excuse me, with
okay,
just normal, just moving it down by yourself?
Jordan, like I said, I'm not a test kind of guy. I'm like a common sense kind of guy. I can tell you that nobody will ever be able to produce a zero time response if somebody else is pushing the button.
How did you determine that?
It's just kind of common sense.
Isn't testing common sense?
No, I have not done any. I have not done any testing. If somebody,
But it's common sense. Like if you're going to make that assertion that this cannot be done, everybody has a neck. A lot of us have cameras. Have you asked, if you don't have access to a camera, have you asked anyone else to do that test? Wouldn't that be common sense instead of just speculating?
you mean for me try to react?
Yeah, like wouldn't it be common sense to actually test that out and try it?
I did not think of it. It was just not a point of contention for me. Since you're kind of challenging me, maybe I'll try to do something like this. Nobody ever challenged me, and to me, this is just a common sense that person always has a lag, a little bit delay in the reaction time if he does not know when something goes off. You cannot have a zero time reaction time. This is especially when that moment is not known. If he was not pushing the button, he did not know at that moment frame number one would happen. So how a person responds without a delay, not knowing when that moment comes?
Is it possible that him moving his head down is the trigger?
I'm sorry, his head moving down, hitting the trigger with his moving.
Is it possible that there's some kind of like inertial thing in his head, or maybe there's some kind of wire or some mechanism that allows him to trigger the device by doing that real fast?
I did not think about it, but as far as actually triggering it, there may be a possibility of that. Yes, I mean, we have so much electronic kind of stuff these days. Some motion, assuming somebody had activated that device, because he could have set it off at the wrong time very easily by moving his head at the wrong moment.
Yeah.
So if
Okay,
somebody,
so that's a possibility. Perfect.
yes, it's
Let me
probably,
ask you this now. So you propose that there's an airbag on his chest in that initial frame that I think is called by some people the cavitation frame. How did you determine that an airbag going off on his chest is going to cause his neck or his chin to go down and not up?
well, let me see. Look at the frame. If you just try pressing, it's like a natural reaction. If you try to press on your neck, just kind of slow. If you put your hand on your neck and you try to press on it, you'll see that your chin goes down. Just if you try to press on your neck, it's kind of one motion will just follow another. You don't even have to hit yourself. Just try to press.
Kelly, is your chin going down? Mine's not.
No, and just full disclosure, I was doing this even before I heard the desired outcome. So,
And your chin is not
Before you
going.
heard what?
sorry, I was and I was already making the motion before I
Oh,
heard where
yeah.
he was going with it. So, yeah,
It just
my
kind of
chin
smushes.
coming down.
It just kind of smushes. It doesn't push my chin down. It just kind of smushes.
Well, we can look at that later. I mean, to me, that was like a natural. Of course, you pressing very lightly, If
Now,
some,
I'm sure if there was like
Yeah.
a mall
A
axe,
massive force.
then
Yeah.
that would force it down, but not just like pushing in your neck. It just kind of
uh,
feels weird and it kind of smashes your trachea a little bit, but it doesn't push your chin down.
well, let me show it. Let me show you this frame. You have a similar frame on your video too. I mean, this is a side view, but a different camera. So this is again frame number one. Can you see this bulge on the back of his neck? It's really not
Mm,
bulging. If you look at it just by itself without considering anything else, this actually could be an effect of a bullet because people say, well, the bullet hit his spine. I do not subscribe to that. I don't. But if you're looking just at this video, I mean, just at this frame, something is pressing on his neck in it, that to the effect that the back of it got deformed.
yeah, I mean, that could just be air pressure pushing it up. I don't know. But this is my time, so I'm going to reclaim it.
Okay, go ahead.
So if there's a balloon or some kind of airbag or something on his chest, what's the purpose of that?
Well, the purpose I've seen is to pull the shirt up. Something had to conceal what has happened there in the frame number one or two or three because nobody knows what happened to that wound mark until frame number four, until the shirt comes down. I think
If I'm the crime scene designer, if I'm designing this effect, whatever it is, why am I going to put an airbag on Charlie Kirk's on his chest?
well, how else do you push the shirt up to cover up what's happening on the neck for the first frame or two? In other
But
words,
you showed us two different frames. One is the cavitation frame where it kind of sort of looks like there's an airbag, but then
Mhm.
there's a different frame that you're calling a separate event where the shirt pulls up. So you're saying those are two completely separate events. So I'm asking you, what's the purpose of this frame?
Well, because
Because the purpose of the this frame here is pulling the shirt up, but what's the purpose of the air balloon frame?
how else you gonna pull up the shirt? This had to be in order to cover his neck, whatever was happening in his neck, that had to be
Yeah,
covered for the first frame.
right.
So
And you're saying that's a different system from the frame before it, correct?
yes, I see this to
Okay.
be two different events. This and
Okay.
this are two
Okay.
different events here.
So what's the difference in intent between this frame and the other frame?
It's the same intent, but basically it serves to the same purpose. You have to inflate
Okay.
something before it blows up, right? It has to be
Okay.
inflated
So
first.
go back to the other frame, please.
Which one? This frame here?
Yes. Is that lifting the shirt up to the neck?
No, but whatever the contraption. I'm sorry. Hold on. I keep skipping it. But whatever, if this was some kind of contraption, and this is the leading edge of it, which presses on the neck, it does cover whatever is happening in the neck. This part covers it already.
Well, it doesn't look like it's covered.
Well, we do not see the. Well, it actually what you see here is his chin. If you were to draw a straight line from this point to that point, I think that would be a leading edge of this device or contraption. This is his
Okay.
chin covering it. So this contraption does not have this shape. That's his chin covering it. But from
Okay.
this point,
So if the whole purpose of the airbag is to just cover the neck, why are you saying there's two different devices? There's the airbag and then there's some other device that's responsible for the other frame?
no, it's the same device. Which that airbag, it either had some kind of valve on the end of which was designed to explode. I mean, deliberately, it was pre-designed that way, or it was just overpressurized. One way or the
Yeah.
other, it exploded after the frame number one.
Would you be surprised if I've replicated pretty much this exact frame just using the CO2 pendant gun?
Mm, well, nothing surprises me anymore. But if you do, that would be a very good idea.
Yeah, because when the air pressure comes out, it doesn't always come out predictably. Or, okay, James would be really excited hearing me say that. But it doesn't always start with
Bullets act in unpredictable ways.
it doesn't always start by pushing the freedom up in the very first frame. Sometimes you capture a frame where it's just the shirt expanding. So I have reproduced that. I don't have it in front of me right now, but it's not uncommon to get a frame where before the freedom text starts arcing up, we do have a little bit of sort of collar expansion. So I think that that might be a better explanation for these two different frames, and that's because we have a very clear directed energy coming directly upwards, starting under the D for freedom. Oh, geez.
Yep, sorry. I got sorry.
And I think since I can demonstrate that and repeat it, that's probably a better explanation for both of them, sort of in a more cohesive explanation rather than saying maybe it's two different devices. And I still don't understand why we would use an airbag in order to do that when just in practice it's much simpler to use a CO2 pendant gun to push the shirt up to the neck. What do you think?
Well, to answer the question why this will lead us to another rabbit hole for half an hour, I'm just so far covering the evidence. And let me show you one other image here, which
Well, it's not a rabbit hole. I mean, that's what I demonstrated in the lab. But let's go to another question then. Is this still on the same topic?
I just wanted to show you his neck here. I already showed you this image with as far as the mark, but look at the neck. Does this look to
Yeah.
you like the regular width of the neck?
I would have to compare it before and after. I don't know.
Well, this is, let me show you his normal width of the neck. There are a few
Well,
images.
that's a different camera and a different angle, different lighting. Can't use that one. Yeah, we can't use these. These are different cameras, different lenses.
But just the width of the neck, you can easily see. His neck here is not the regular width. Something is expanding this neck, and it stays that way for multiple frames. Try to.
I mean, even I'm not going to grant you that, but even if I did, that could easily be blood pumping through an appliance, through a prosthetic, right?
Yes, it could be, but I'm saying something is happening here in his neck, which is not. I'm not determining exactly what at this point, but something is going
Sure.
on with his neck here.
I agree with that. Okay, let's go to my last question here.
Okay.
You were talking about the syringe. Can you pull up that photo?
Hold on. I think I had it on video.
There
It's
we
not
go,
on the
or the
photo.
video.
It's on the video here. It's compressing here. Hold on a second. It's this device, whatever this is.
I'm taking off my dress shirt, whatever, so I can sort of demonstrate what I think's going on here. If I can get this off. I am wearing the exact. Have you heard my story about Charlie Kirk's shirt? About which shirt it is?
Are you asking me? I'm not sure.
Yes. Yes, I'm asking you.
You asking me if I know what kind of shirt he had?
Yeah.
Well, I've seen it on you. I do not know exactly what kind of shirt was it.
So this is the exact same shirt Charlie wore. It is a Carhartt Force Sun Defender tee, ordered through Graphic Goat as a sample order. So this is the exact same shirt that he wore.
Right.
So we have identical sort of ballistics there. And I'm going to get also the exact same microphone here. And I'm going to put it on me and I'm going to try to demonstrate what we're seeing there.
Okay.
Just give me one moment, please.
Should I be looking at here now?
Yes, please. Let me get you off the screen. Okay, can you see me? You should be able to see me now.
I can see.
And this one doesn't have the freedom text because I just haven't talked to the guy yet. I have the other one in the other room, but this one is actually the right size. But Kelly just got a lot shorter.
You know, I'm doing my best. My son is not feeling so hot, so he's in and out under the desk, knocked the camera almost over. So
That's no fun. That sucks.
at least
He's
the camera didn't totally fall over, so it could have been a
He's
lot
under
worse.
the desk.
Well, he was.
Okay.
We're good.
I think I'm ready to show you what I think is going on. You see how is that showing up as on the right side? Is on the correct side?
Yes.
That's fascinating. Hold on. I
Well,
need to fix this again. This is
What do you mean on the
really
right side?
annoying.
It's on your right side. What do you mean on the right side?
Kelly, is it right?
um,
Yes. Yes, it is on the right.
yeah, yes, yeah, yes,
Yes, his neck mark
This
was
is
on the left.
really stressing me out, man.
yes.
It needs to stop doing
So this is
this.
it's you guys. It's a StreamYard issue, a streaming
There we go.
issue.
I fixed
Okay,
it. I fixed
so
it.
that way Jordan can see on his own side. Yeah,
It's not mirrored anymore. Thank you for walking me through that earlier, Kelly. I really appreciate it.
of course.
All right, so we have the microphone. You see how it looks like really thin, but in reality it's like basically a rectangle, but if it's sort of and I'm talking to US 911 here. You see how if I do it sort of like that, it starts looking super thin just because of
Right.
how it's sort of propped up.
Mm-hmm.
And you see how there's that crease down here?
Right.
I think that's the crease that you were talking about right there. And then as I bring the shirt up, you see how the crease disappears? It's not perfect. But as this comes up, the crease disappears, right?
So you're saying it's a
And
crease in the shirt.
yeah, it's a crease in the shirt. There's nothing. There's no funny business here. It's just a crease in the shirt because it's a huge mic. Like that's how big it is. So if it doesn't rest square up against the chest, it will sort of do that funny stuff and it'll have a crease. And then when I bring the shirt up like this, that crease disappears. Do you think that's a good explanation for what you're seeing in the video of Charlie?
Mm.
You want, let's go back to your screen here.
Well, if you can see, it's not this line. Can you see it? It's not preceding. It's like in front of it.
Oh
It's
yeah.
it's not continuation of this black line. It's right in front.
Yeah, it's in front of like
And how do you have it on your? Let's see. How so you have a continuation from your black from the microphone. You have a continuation with a line. That line comes right in front of it.
yeah.
So I don't. I mean, you can maybe argue part of it, but yours is not the same. Plus, let me show you one other image. Not to mention, you can see the extension of that line on the back as well. Hold on a second. When Charlie's about to
But
be jumped, you see this here?
well, that's
That
just a random crease, man. Who knows what that is?
his shirt looks pretty stretched here. This is exactly from the same area. You know, that's his armpit raised. It goes from
Yeah,
the
I have
chest
no
area
idea
around
what
the
that
back.
is.
Hmm?
I have no idea what that is.
Well, to me, this is some kind of a tube. I
I
see
mean,
this.
it could be, but it could also just be one of these you can't see, but can you go back to my screen?
To your screen. I'm onto this one.
Oh, here, you want me
Yeah.
to
Is it possible it's just like you see all
just to
these
click
creases here?
on you, Jordan? Solo? Yeah,
I guess
here you
so,
go.
but you see how
Yeah.
many creases there are just randomly coming up? Isn't it possible that that's just one of those?
Well, it's possible, but I've looked at it for God knows how long. This does not look like a crease because this whole shirt is stretched here. There's just I can't
Well,
you
you
know
might
I
be.
cannot count the possibility out, but this looks like something under the shirt. This looks like some kind of a almost like my air compressor tube. I have air compressor hoses, not a tube, but a hose. Looks like about 3/8 diameter tube or a hose of some sort.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. I mean, I'm certainly proposing that there's a lot of hoses going on underneath there, but I'm just not convinced that's one of them. But I don't think it's particularly important, though, right? So, where am I at on time, Kelly?
We are at 12:23 right now.
Okay. So, okay, can you go back to the one where you think there's a device um, on this wound here? You
To
just
this
had
one,
it like 2 seconds ago. No, you said there's like a clear tube like right under his neck wound.
this
Not that
this one.
one.
It's
You said you
probably
put
this
in a
one.
graphic of a, no, not that one. You put in a graphic of a cylinder right under the wound.
Hmm.
Oh, I see.
The one you showed earlier with the like little tube that was kind of right at his neckline. That
I
one,
mean
Jordan?
Yeah.
the frame number
Yes.
4. I mean this one here.
Yeah.
I have
Can
two.
you,
This is
Were
two
you
images of the same. This is my
You're,
interpretation of what's there.
I thought you had a different one.
I
you had
have
a different one.
frame.
Hmm.
That's number 4. This is frame number 11.
Do you
This
have
one.
the one with the cylinder? The
It
one
looked
that
like
you showed
a very
earlier.
small tube, like right next to his neck. Close to frame 4, but you were showing kind of the size.
Well, this is frame 4.
You just had it up like 2 seconds ago. Or not 2 seconds ago, like a minute ago. But let's just go back to frame 4. I don't know what happened to it.
You say it's something, a tube under his neck.
Yeah, remember you put the clip art on it of a cylinder, sort of transparent,
Oh, okay.
demonstrating what you thought it was, remember?
Well, it was this here.
Yeah, but is it a cylinder or is
Oh,
it
I see. I know what you're saying. It is this here. That is my
yes,
interpretation of
that
what
one.
it is.
Thank
Okay.
Hmm.
you. Okay. What is that device?
Uh, well, in order to give you a good explanation, I have to go. I don't have all the frames handy here. This, whatever this is, if this is some kind of device, it is not
Yeah,
there.
what kind of device?
It is not there until frame number 9. There's some kind of
Okay.
bracket there, like a little bracket
Okay.
here. This appears at number 9. It stays there for about 9 frames. I do
Okay.
not see anything coming out. This cap on the frame number 10 seems to come off. You see, it has like a cap here. Let me show
I have
you.
no idea. How
This,
big is this device?
well, this is about 3/8 across. It looks like it has a little cap here. It's not there in the next frame. However, nothing comes off of it. It just stays there in the same
Okay.
position.
How do
So
we
it
tell
almost,
the difference between a smudge in super blurry compressed video footage and a device?
because color of the shirt gets pulled off the body. This is, you can see in the next frame. It's the same here. This is the color, edge of the color. It's at least an inch off the neck, and it stays like that for about 10 frames, or maybe 8 or 9. I didn't count the frames, but it doesn't go back into the neck. It stays, kind of changes its form a little bit, but it stays about an inch off the neck for
Is it?
multiple, like a third of the second, like that. It does not go back on the neck.
So we're on frame 11, right?
This is 11.
And this is at 30 FPS?
Yes.
Do
So
you
there,
have this in a video though, and could also just go through the video just frame, because like at this point we're not seeing a gush,
no,
right?
nothing comes out of the neck until the frame about, it starts dripping out, just a drip on the frame number.
But what's important to me, honestly, is the overall look of this area, if that makes sense. Okay. Because I'm personally seeing a few things that look different to me. And so I would want to compare that to multiple videos. If I'm just being an objective viewer of the case, because there are so many of these different videos that have been treated so many different ways over the last 7 months.
And I think that's also important because we have to consider the speed and the timing of this. If we're drawing conclusions from the exact position of the shirt, we need to know whether or not that's just a continuation of the original event that we already know happened. Has the shirt had time to settle and then something else happened to it to move it? Or is it still sort of recoiling from the deformation that we saw earlier?
Well, right. Well, I don't know. This is frame number 4.
You don't know?
It's a much closer to the neck, but just a
Well,
little.
hold on. Hold on. You said you don't know.
No, I cannot say for certain. I'm just bringing to your attention that there's a
That's important though, isn't it?
I can tell you I cannot say with certainty what this is. All I can tell you is the color of the shirt is pulled off the neck and it stays that way for about
Right. But
half a
you're drawing a conclusion from the shirt being in a certain position, and you're saying because the shirt is in this seemingly unnatural position at frame 11, that means there's a device underneath it. And I'm saying, shouldn't you find out whether or not that's just a side effect from the initial deformation that we saw? That's pretty important to rule out, right?
Yes, but it stays there. I don't have all the frames ready. I didn't think we'll have the discussion into this direction today, but it stays the same way more or less in frame number 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17.
Can
That
we look
color-
at those frames now?
Yeah. Right. So we're trying to
Yeah,
figure out what.
Okay,
that comes from.
I just didn't pull it into this folder, but hold on a second. I will show it to you. See? Okay, this is without any of my own addition. You want to see the previous frame? This is number 10. This is the previous one. This is not 11. You
And
can-
I'll also ask you this. Isn't it possible that there's a necklace right there that could be weighing down on it, or maybe a pendant or something that might also explain why it's sort of in an odd shape?
Yes, of course, in order for you to determine better, you have to look at a lot of frames. It's not just any one frame by itself. Hold on a second. I'm looking at what's the best. And I add my own interpretation here a little bit, but this is I do outline with the white, the outline
Yeah.
of the color. That's where the color is. It's the same.
Okay.
That's frame
Yeah.
number 10. Now, let me
So
show
how many other possibilities did you consider before you arrived at? So when we're trying to explain, you see that the shirt seems to be in a weird position. How
See,
many other, hold on, before you arrived at, there must be a device under the shirt right there as the explanation. How many other explanations did you consider?
No, I started this framework, just never finished it, probably 2 months ago. And I just don't remember what my thought process was at that time.
Okay.
I basically examined for about 15 frames and I looked at it and I can see the consistency, and that was my most plausible explanation. I cannot say it with 100% certainty. And how many other options I looked at, I don't know. But see, this is number 12.
Don't you think that's important though? To look at other possibilities?
Yes,
Like maybe
I
it's
looked.
just the air pressure, maybe it's the necklace, maybe it's the pendant, maybe it's the weight of blood. Isn't that important to think about?
Well, not the blood. There's nothing. It pulls off the color before anything comes out of the neck. This is number 12 here, so it would
Sure,
not be
maybe.
blood or anything like that.
In US, you'd been on this theory for longer than a couple of months, though. You've been on it, right?
Yes,
Pretty
but
much the whole time.
I did not discover that frame number 11 till about 11, whatever this was. Let's see, this is 11. Yes, I've been on this concept before, but I did not discover everything started on the shirt movement from this frame. When I discovered number 11, I said, "What the heck is this?" That's my own additional here, but the original, hold on, where's the original? I don't even know where the original is. This is the original. I discovered this and I thought, oh, what the heck is this? And that was about maybe 2.5 months ago. And I've been stuck on this and got distracted with other things from one thing to the other. But I did not
Hold
know
on.
the frame before that.
Where do you think, I asked you this many times before and I never really got an answer. Where do you think the blood is coming from? Without going into any other topics, just a location like an XYZ coordinate. Where do you think the blood is coming from?
Okay, if you look at the next frames, which I'm not allowed to show here, whatever
That's not a
comes,
coordinate.
huh?
Where is the blood coming from?
Everything comes out from this opening.
Right,
Nothing
but
comes
okay,
from
where is the blood stored?
or where the store, where that's what I was trying to explain to you, and we kind of went on sideways. I think the blood, whatever was coming out, was a result of this chemical reaction. I
A
think
chemical reaction?
I'm pretty sure it was. You know, they have some elements
How did you determine that's a chemical reaction and not a crease?
big because that was even 5 6 months ago. Because I see something inflating here is a continuation of this device that I thought gets compressed. So one thing gets compressed, and then next frame or the same frame, everything gets inflated, starting from this point. Nothing gets inflated in this direction. Everything goes from here like this. So I thought the all process, all action started from this device, because the whole motion goes from here to the shoulder. And I might be wrong. Again, I cannot do this kind of testing. This is some special effect. This somebody can do testing. They need to have special effects knowledge.
Do you have any examples of special effects technology that is remotely similar to this,
No,
what
no,
you're
sir.
proposing?
No,
Okay.
sir. But I do know they have all kinds of stuff today, special, unacknowledged special operation projects that we cannot even dream of. I
But
do know that.
how can we reason about that if we don't have any examples of it?
I would never be able to get demonstrated proof to you. That's just my observation over many, many months. And if I have to live with no proof, that's just the way it is. I cannot provide you a test for this.
So how can you know if you're right or not?
Uh, could, like I said, I could never know for sure.
Okay.
Maybe something else will come up, but they will clarify it. All I just know that I discovered like 6 months ago, as soon as I saw the video. And every time I see new pieces of evidence, such as this little hose here, a looking hose, okay, maybe not a hose, but a pipe of some kind, it kind of
Let
adds.
me tell you this. When I did tests back here, I want to star this comment. When I did tests with a pop-up device, I actually tested this out because you actually can test these things. You don't have to be a Hollywood expert. You don't need any experience in any of this stuff at all. You can absolutely test this stuff. And I did that. And for a while, I was thinking maybe there was a little pop-up device here. And I actually demonstrated a pop-up device on some of my tests with my mannequin back here. And what I found through demonstration, through testing, was that if there is a pipe down here that uses air pressure to expand and pop up into the wound area, let me get you back off there. If there's a pop-up device under the collar here, number one, it's extraordinarily difficult to hide it when we have all these high resolution photos. It has to be extremely small and low profile to not be seen. So that's your first problem. But then your second problem is when it pops up, it's going to shoot the blood up because the hose is pointing up. So all of the pressure, no matter how you dress it at the end, the pressure is gonna shoot up
Well, wait a minute.
every time.
Wait,
So
Jordan.
that's a problem
Jordan, I did
that
not
you
say
only
anything was
discover. I'm
coming
not
from.
done yet. That's a problem that you only discover through testing and demonstration. So don't you think that just simple, easy test is valuable?
I did not see anything come out. If that is a hose or some kind of a pop-up, I never saw anything on all the frames coming out of it. It almost looked
Okay.
to me like some kind of electronic guide to make something come out of that wound.
Okay.
It popped into the position, and it's like a guide of some kind. Nothing ever came out of that. If that's a hose or pop-up, nothing ever came out of it.
Okay. So in standard Hollywood technology, if you wanted to pump blood out of a wound on someone's neck, would you use a chemical reaction with a syringe that sort of moves a weird crease over here by the right lapel mic? or would you use something else?
In a standard setup, of course not. Of course, you'd use like a liquid pouch of some kind. But I do not see any liquid pouches on him large enough to sustain that kind of visual effect that we saw.
How much liquid came out of the wound, do you think?
Well, this is what we're not allowed. I'm not allowed to show here on YouTube. But one of the big like clues is when you see all the whatever, I keep calling it, whatever comes out of his neck, which I don't think was blood. It's rolling down the shirt. It is not soaking to the shirt. I'm not allowed to show you, but it rolls down the shirt without
Right.
staining it. And number two, most of it evaporates or vanishes in thin air. So this is
Have
like
you
I
have
can
you done
show-
any tests to try to figure out what the fluid ounces of it was?
No, but it looks like from observation, it looks like maybe 16 ounces that comes out altogether. But
Okay.
if
And
I
have you
don't,
tried concealing that amount, 16 fluid ounces, in a pouch under the shirt?
no,
And have you looked for a concealed pouch that could hold 16 ounces under Charlie Kirk's shirt in the photos?
no, but
Would you be surprised to know that there actually is a pouch on Charlie Kirk's belly
yeah,
that
there's
is
a
about the
yeah,
exact size that would hold 16 fluid ounces?
yes, I know that image. I know what you're talking about. You don't have to show
Is,
it.
you
I
think
mean,
that might be where the blood was?
it's a possibility, but again, how do you explain if that's a real liquid? How do you explain it vanishing at midair?
Well, it's just a video compression, I think. And the reason it falls off the shirt is because it probably has really strong surface tension. And this is made of 100% polyester. And if I spill water on it, it almost acts like a bird feather the way it just rolls right off the shirt. Just because of the way the shirt is built.
Well, not out of the possibilities. But I looked at that video for all that substance rolling down the shirt, and you can just see it. I have it at 5% speed, and it does not reach to his waist. It like every time there's a clearing, it's just nothing goes further down. You can see the stream running, and there's a clearing, and there's nothing further down. And there's a little next batch comes down, and that disappears. Eventually some drops do go down to his waistline to his pants, but most of it never makes it to his pants, and like keeps disappearing one after another.
Is it possible that's because the pants are dark and it just sort of disappears into the dark of the pants?
No, it disappears before it gets that far down. It disappears kind of above his elbow level. I have a video
Yeah.
with a
I'm
pointer.
looking at it. I'm looking at it right now. I can't show it on the screen for the reason you said, but I have drops right by
What
the
speed
top
you
of the
have it
pants.
at what speed you playing it?
I'm not playing it. I'm just scrubbing through the timeline.
Oh, I see.
But it goes down to the pants. So,
There are
I mean,
some
we can have a conversation about whether or not the video is authentic, but it is going down to the level of the pants.
some of it, but not all of it. Some of it, if
Well,
you
yeah,
look,
not all of it.
some of it evaporates, so it vanishes in midair. Some of it goes down, but maybe like 20-30%, but the rest like seems like vanishes in midair.
Yeah, I could see that. Sure.
So it's a combination of facts. So I thought that cannot be real liquid. So that's why I thought it had to be some kind of a mixture of some kind of chemical that turned temporarily into liquid and then returned back to gas. They have that kind of chemicals, which can be.
Did you see the clip in the video that you pulled up earlier where I sort of put in, it might have been a different clip. I don't remember which one you used, but I posted to X today a clip that included a test where I had liquid shooting out of the dummy. Do you remember that?
I don't
I
think
could pull it up if I need to.
I don't think I looked at that.
Okay, give me a second and I'll pull that up.
I'm gonna close some of these windows, reopen them. I think my computer may crash if I have them open for too long. So if we need them again, I'll pull them up again.
I'm going to find that super fast, I think, if I can find it, which I can't right now. Where has it gone?
You're trying to get your son
Where's
from
my video?
again.
Oh, I posted it to try and prove it. That's why it's not on here. Hold on. Now get this off. I didn't want that. Oh
Try to
boy.
get your son from under the desk again, or what?
Yes. Oh gosh, tried to finally put him yeah, in a place that he'll be
I don't
stable for
want
a
this
little
to
while.
play right now. I want this to be on mute. I want this to be on mute. I didn't say for you to play audio. Okay. Sorry guys, I'm just getting kind of frustrated here.
We
Here we
don't hear.
go.
Any, I don't hear any audio.
Well, I could, and it's frustrating. Okay, here we go. I'm going to play my screen here. If we can go into this layout. I don't want that one up there right now. I want this one up there. Okay. So this is the test that I did. You see how, God damn it. You see how the liquid kind of just disappears? It's like really thick at the top, but then it just kind of disappears at the bottom.
Why is it going sideways like that?
Because there's a tube right here that's going straight. So it's just coming out of the tube. But you
I've
see
never
how,
I did not look today at this section of the video. I mean, I
can
just
you
saw
look
that.
at it now?
Yeah, I can see it.
You see how it's like really thick up here, but then it just kind of fizzles out and disappears down here?
Well, it's hard to tell with that kind of dark background, but is it going into a mist or what?
It's just kind of fizzling out. Right?
Well, yeah, I'll have to see it with a light background, like against a shirt. I mean, here, if it goes into the mist and a dark background like that would become invisible for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of just misting out a little bit.
Yeah,
So
but
I think that might be what happened with the blood on Charlie. Do you think that might be a good explanation?
I don't know if it's good, but it's one of the possibilities. That would be a possibility.
Okay. Kelly?
I think that we've covered quite a bit. There very well could be an opportunity for us to do follow-ups in the future, especially if we can nail down some video clips, where we can look at some things kind of in sequential order. I think that's really important. But do you have a YouTube channel at all, or strictly X?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question again?
Is it only X for you? Do you have YouTube at all?
No, I never use the YouTube. I just try to
Okay.
boycott them for the reason because they have a very restrictive policy, and people complain about it. I say, well, stop complaining, just boycott them. So
Understood. Okay, so we'll make sure that hopefully everyone can, oops, there we go, follow you on X, US_did_911.
see how much you had to cover. I told you this is like massive presentation. It's just hard to do it in 15, 30, even an hour. It's so much to discuss here. Anyway, I kind of expected that. You have a lot of listeners. They probably want to ask some questions too, and they didn't get a chance to ask any questions.
Yeah, we can go into that now, I think, right?
Well,
Sure.
let me just show you one other image here, which is we didn't get to that part because I was certain. You remember we were discussing the electrocution part? You remember this? And I took an image or had somebody else take. You remember this image here? Jordan, can you see that? Or
Yeah.
and you said this is a shadow, right?
I think so, yeah.
Here,
Kelly, what's your opinion on, can you go back to that, please?
here. What do you think about this?
Can you go back to the sorry, I'm getting impatient. Can you go back to the other frame, please?
This one?
Yes, please. Kelly, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that looks like shadow to me. I'm not convinced that it's anything more like, I know some people have speculated electrocution, something like that, but I don't see evidence of that.
What do you think about this? This is my hand.
I think it depends on the lighting and the
Yes,
specific
this
conditions.
was a light very similar. I took it under the porch, and we don't have a tent, of course, but the porch was very similar lighting. And you can see that this section, because it's facing outside, was more light than under the porch or under the tent. Actually, it's reflective, which is the same here. This section, because it's facing towards more light, it actually is not darker but lighter. And in this image, you can see the same thing. That this section is actually lighter than this because it's reflective of the outside light. So even if this was a shadow, it should be consistent here. So this is only 2 seconds apart and about a foot apart in distance.
But what my point would be to you and to many, many others out there who are working on this case is that this is why we have to know the source of our videos, where exactly they came from, what exactly they were taken with, who took them, how many different processes they have gone through, how many times they've been uploaded. I mean, unless you are the sole holder of the video, the sole uploader of the video, I mean, there's just so many factors.
Well, yes, but it's
What
hard.
I'll add is that I really do appreciate going out into your porch and taking a photo and doing a real demonstration. I think
Well,
that's really valuable.
I do.
Here's a
I
different
agree with
video
that
from
too.
different angle. It's the same thing.
Yeah,
I-
but
I
isn't the lighting there like a lot darker than on your porch?
I don't think so. Under the tent was really close, but again, it's not really the darkness; it's the consistency. This is the same lighting here. They're only 2 seconds apart between these two frames. If you
What do you
had,
propose, if you don't think it was shadow, what do you propose it was?
to me, this is a burn mark.
Okay.
That's what
How much of the hand is burned?
Well, in order to test this, you have to electrocute something, and with maybe a couple thousand volts. And I'm not sure I want to go through that kind of testing, sir.
But are you saying that the thumb is burned, or that the outside of the hand is burned, or how much are you saying is burned?
To me, this area, this, and the tips of the fingers, this all burned to me.
And what burned it?
Huh?
And what burned it?
Some current that was sent through that microphone.
Through
Right
the
here.
microphone? So the outside of his hand, right?
It's slipping. When the
Right.
microphone actually is slipping, it slips right. If you look at the video, it slips right along this part of the hand. It kind of goes down and he lets it go.
Okay, but if he was electrocuted by that and if it was still alive, wouldn't that cause him to grip it harder?
Yes, it would. He was gripping it harder until something apparently to me, it was turned off. I think that current was turned off, and the ring.
Okay, so it's not going to burn this part of the hand then anymore, right?
Yes, that could be. That has to be timed frame by frame. This is his
But
ring.
he's not holding the microphone in this frame, right?
Uh,
And let me rephrase. For it to burn this part of his hand out here, he would have had to have dropped it, right?
I cannot tell. I do not have the whole video in front of me to say at which point he lets it go. And also, I do not know how liquids in the body, how the fluids react. If you have electrocuted, maybe it's like a surrounding area, not just the part that's touching it.
That's fair. That's fair.
I just don't know this. I don't know.
That's fair.
You have a lot of liquids in the hand, so it may be some surrounding area touches as well. Because it's not just the microphone, his ring. Oh, hold on a second. I've done this clip just specifically for you. I clipped out this gore part. Hold on a second. Where is this clip?
Are we supposed to be getting into audience questions now, Kelly?
Yes, I'm working at looking for audience questions in the meantime.
Let's go ahead and move into that segment now.
Let me just take 1 second, guys. This is
We're gonna move into audience questions now.
Okay.
I'm going to assert authority here.
Okay.
We have some starred ones at the top here. Okay. This isn't a question, but it's a statement. He says, it looks like he's bracing and grimacing to John Bassioni. Did I say that right? Probably not.
Mhm.
Bassiglone? I don't know. But I think it looks like he's bracing and grimacing too, and I think Kelly agrees.
Yes, and also actually, if you could pause there on another John Bassiglone point, I photograph aircraft models and lighting points of origin, and lumens make a big difference. I can take two photographs and they can be completely different with minor lighting changes.
Yeah. And you also have the canopy above him, which is pretty important for the lighting.
Mhm.
Well, the thing is, a foot apart in the distance and 2 seconds apart did not change the lighting. It's the same lighting.
But it kind of did, though, didn't it? Unless you beg the question. Or, I mean, I'm kind of begging the question, but, I mean, it does kind of look like the lighting changed.
Well, I do not know from where because he was not under direct sunlight. He was in direct illumination. Even the most could happen, there was a cloud. It was a clear sunny day, so outside was consistent, under the tent was consistent. It's just the position of the hand moved by like a foot.
Yeah, but I think that might have changed how it was.
Well, you can see that you can see there's just no change here. That's my hand.
We can't, well, that's completely different lighting, though, so we don't really know. Okay. We have that one. We just did that one. Okay. Do we have any questions?
If anyone has questions, please go ahead and drop them in the chat.
Well, people were not able to come up with any questions yet. We just went over so much material and
There's a lot to digest.
they got stunned and they don't know what to ask.
Well, they
Is
said
there a
they were very
device?
compelled. I'm sorry, very compelled by your information, and they felt like this was a very valuable conversation.
Well, usually people don't have too many questions for me unless they just outright are close-minded and just want to debunk me no matter what I say. And that's kind of pretty normal.
Is there a device that flows the blood out? US 911?
Yes, I'm here.
Is there a device that flows the blood out?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I thought maybe you asked me to have a question. Is there a device?
Is there a device that pumps the blood out?
Well, again, that's what my understanding was. You know, you can call me crazy and correct. I think it was a chemical reaction of some elements. We have some elements which under pressure can be dry. If they get mixed, it creates a chemical reaction, can create a liquid, very short duration time liquid, and they can turn back into the original state of gas. So those chemicals
Okay.
can dry. So that's what it looked like to me. There was just no liquid. And it looked that way to me for many months. Now, how did it work out? I mean, this requires some special effects knowledge. I don't know, but that's what it looked. There are some special chemicals that can do that. They can be dry separately. Once you mix them, they can create a spontaneous chemical reaction, blow up.
Maybe,
Maybe.
but I don't know if that's what I would use, though.
But
Do you have a side-by-side of the neck wound image with and without markups?
One more time, side by side of what?
So do you have a side-by-side A versus B with the neck wound image, one with the markups and one without the markups?
What do you mean by markup? In my own outline?
Your annotations.
I have them all worked out from 4 to I think frame number 16. I didn't put all of them in this folder. Here I only have 4 and 11.
Do you have composite images where you have it with the markup on the left and then without the markup on the right, is what they're asking.
I mean, they're not like, is this what you're asking for this image here? I just
No. Let's move on to the next one.
I just do not understand the question clearly.
So this person, I'm going to go back into my screen share here, and remove that one. Add that one. No, I don't want you to add it immediately. No, I didn't ask you to do that. Add to stage here. So this person is saying that because you can see Charlie's pendant and nipples, they're not buying this theory. But check this out.
And what do you have under that letter D? You had like a little.
That's the cross pendant. Can you hear the audio?
We cannot hear the
Oh,
audio,
okay.
but I will say that's very interesting because we do see just the hint of, Charlie's pendant sticking out through the shirt. So that seems to track.
And I can reproduce that.
Yeah, and we didn't see the tape, the tubes, all of the things that you had hidden under the shirt sticking out
Let me show you one more
in
image.
that example.
Let me show you one more image. I think maybe I showed you this before, but here. Maybe you saw this.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys see this?
We did.
Mm-hmm.
You see these two pins here?
Yeah, what do you think
Yes.
those are?
I think if you remember the shape of that, what I think is a bag, it was like a scarf going here from the camera a little bit to the right. You couldn't see it all the way to the shoulder, but the pattern was starting here and going all the way to here. And I think this is holding in place whatever this contraption was, because it was very important to be held in place, not sliding around this way or sticking out from under the shirt that way. It had to be held in place. So I
Do
think,
we see those two pins in any other photo?
yes, all of McClintock's photos from that show this area have the same two pins.
Really?
So to me, this is like a positioning pins of something under the shirt.
Because my
Yep.
impression was that that was the only photo that had that.
No.
Maybe I'm mistaken.
I don't think I put other photos into this folder, but I can go to my other folder and show you a few others. I don't know if
For
I
those, you guys, for those who believe those might be threads, what would you say?
I'll show you the image of the threads. Hold on a second. Let's see if I can find this. This is the one I just showed you just now. This is a different folder. I think.
And also, Jordan, if you could speak to that, considering that you actually have that shirt, if you could
Well,
speak to how, if
this
you've noticed any loose threads around that area, if there's
This is
anything
a
you could-
different image here. These are the threads here. If you can see my pointer, this is a thread. This is a thread loop. This is a different image. This are the two pins. And you can also see the black line here, which is inconclusive what this is, but this could be a part of
It's just the collar.
this black line here. No,
Yeah, it's
this
the
is
collar.
This is the
Well,
collar.
can
here.
you look at the other screen?
Yeah,
please?
let's put here. Yep, I'll put you up.
Well, I don't need to be big. You just
Sorry.
need to look at
Well,
the other
it's
screen.
just so that way for a moment that people could see you. I don't know how to.
I'm sorry, Kelly. I'm getting grumpy. My apologies.
It's okay.
Well, but anyway, this is a different image. You asked me if-
No, it's not anyway. Can you look at the other? Can you look at me, please? You're not looking at me. You see how there's black right there?
Oh, I
That's
see.
what that black is.
I see. Okay.
Okay, let's proceed. Why am I so big? I want to not be big. Here we go.
There we go. Thank you.
Well, but as you can see, the same two pins are on a different image, and they're in
So
different.
you're saying that the two beneath. Why is there? What the fuck?
Somebody knew you needed balloons.
What are you trying to do?
I I thought I heard an Amber Alert in the background, but then I saw balloons. So, it's fine.
Can you go back to the other screen, sir?
You asking me?
Yes, please.
Which one? This one here?
Yes.
Or this
If
one?
you are
There are two different images here.
the
Which
one you
one?
just had, that one, thank you.
This one?
Yes, please stay on that one. If you're saying that you're saying that the lower two ones are threads, right?
This to me is a thread, and this is a thread. This is
Okay,
a pin.
okay. Why is the top one not also a thread?
Well, it looks like cylindrical to me. It looks like reflective. It has a reflective surface, has different color. It's a silverish color. This is white.
I thought you said that the lower two are threads.
This one here, this is the
Yeah.
thread. This is a thread.
Okay.
I can see this has a reflective surface and it's a silverish color.
So you don't think that the middle one is a thread?
I don't think these two are. This one here looks like
Okay.
a thread to me. But this is like way too thick.
Isn't
and
the
reflective.
whole shirt reflective though?
That's this. This does not look like a piece of fabric to me. I don't know what to say. This looks. I might even have another even more zoomed in section. Let's see.
Kelly, what do you think it is?
Okay, I'm gonna ask the chat what they think. I'm
this
gonna
is
say,
a color, this
okay,
is a
Chad,
color.
put a 1 if you think they are. What do you want to call them? Attack or something?
I think they're
And then
metal.
2 if they're threads.
I added the contrast here. The
I
saturation.
don't really have threads because mine's brand new.
I added the color saturation here a little bit. That's the same image, and a little bit more zoomed in. This looked metallic to me.
It kind of does to me too, but I'm not sure because I have this image over here, and I don't see anything, and I'm too lazy right now to zoom into it. I guess I can zoom into it. Hold on. Let's zoom into this. More tools, developer tools.
Yeah, they're small. If you don't
Find
zoom in,
it.
you cannot see them. You really have to zoom in like 6-8 times.
Can you just go into this link, please? I don't want the entire thing. I just want the hyperlink. Here we go. Copy. And pasting up.
But yeah, for what it's worth, I'm gonna say they do look like threads to me, just given the amount of times that I see random little threads in my clothes, especially in new t-shirts. I would assume, which I think it is fair to assume, because this was his first stop on this fall college tour, new t-shirt, probably some new threads.
But I don't see it on this image.
Well, they're so short.
I also personally don't trust, for the record, for the audience, just so they know, I've stated it many times before, but I personally do not trust Charles McClintock Wilson's photos. Sorry, Charles, if you're listening.
Yeah.
But sorry, I don't trust your pics.
But
Me
in
neither.
which sense? You think he would be editing and adding something like this?
Probably not adding something like it. Or maybe
I
probably
think
disagrees.
anything could be possible. I think things could be added, things could be subtracted. What I will say is that this person had a kind of came out of nowhere, had an odd or interesting story, how they ended up there without press credentials. And then next thing you know, suddenly became involved in every single TPUSA event moving forward. So take that for what you will. That's my personal opinion and stance, as I've said before.
Yeah. And this
Okay.
image, you could be right on the other side of the shoulder. You have to like really careful because those, whatever, whether it's a thread or a pin, they're so short. It could be just below the horizon line of the shoulder, so to speak. You have to really pinpoint that exact line if it can be seen from this side at all. But they do show from the other side on all the images in the same location. I don't think I
Okay.
saved them, but I looked at like 4 or 5, and they show on all 4 or 5 from the other side.
Ooh, this one's interesting. Could the blood storage be in a container on the floor, simply plugging it up to Charlie's tubing once he's seated? Also, the compressed air tank getting hooked up. Well, that would be the same. But I actually thought that for a while, but I got off that theory because I did find footage of him sitting down that was fairly continuous and did not show any evidence that anyone plugged anything to him. But I was definitely on that boat because that's how it's done in Hollywood. You have a blood pot, and I actually had one over here that I used for quite a while. But because I don't see anyone plugging anything into Charlie, I got off that theory, and I'm going to use. We might actually do that test this Saturday, where I'm actually going to use a solenoid in one of my CO2 canisters. We haven't really talked about this Saturday yet. I don't know if that's going to happen. But if we do a test, another field test this Saturday, I'm probably going to be using a CO2 canister to pump blood out. So that'll be interesting. But not an external tank anymore. But I did use the external tank for quite a while. Okay. I think that's all of the starred ones.
Well, we just hit the 2-hour mark, so I think we've just about covered our bases. This has been a good one, a very, very good one.
Yeah.
And I did not even cover that much. Well, I kind of got knocked out of my track because I was taking
Well,
too much time, and
You
there was a lot-
decided to start taking shots at me. That's what happened.
Well, you asked me to come over and lay it out, and you posted this video yourself today, so I thought, what the hell? I'll just-
Yeah.
Well, we'll just have to have you back again. It was a great time. So thank you so much for being here. You guys make sure to follow on X US_did_911. We really appreciate you for being here.
All right.
Make sure that you're following us. Try and prove it. And Jordan Henshaw HQ on X, and just Jordan Henshaw on YouTube, and then me, Kelly Raybon.
Any very brief closing thoughts, US?
I have to gather my thoughts to express my thoughts.
Okay.
Well, again, my thoughts are, again, we discussed a lot of possible fakery, and I think there was plenty. We did not discuss a lot yet, but again, the question of a fake death specifically, that's a completely different question. I think, again, he was expecting one thing and ended up getting something else. And
All right.
a lot of evidence we did not cover that points that he was indeed killed, but not as probably as he was expecting.
All right. Thank you for your time, sir. I appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. Bye. Okay. Looks like we are at the end of the show here. Like Kelly said, I think we might do you still want to do a spaces?
I'm exhausted, honestly.
Yeah, me too. And I'm getting pretty frustrated too. So we won't do that. I'll cancel that. And thank you everyone for coming on. And thanks for everyone for coming on. Have a good night.
Thank you guys so much. Make sure you're following all our channels.
Bye.
We'll see you soon. Bye.